Welcome back to Swordsman Academy. So, with this, let's get into this. So, Adrian and the gang would probably be walking around in the forest looking for new blade shops, because most of the blade shops are for some reason in the forest, because that's where you get the best material. They look around. They're looking around for so long. Just so long, bro. Then they find a old man and an old lady rocking on a chair next to a campfire. The whole gang walks up to them saying, "Hi, do you guys know anything about how to make new swords?" They say, "Ah, yes. But let's sit down and let us tell you a story about the history of swordsmen." They all go, "Okay." The old lady says, "Well, since the beginning of swordsman time, everything was a lie. We all thought everything relied on our eye color." I'll be right back, people. So, back to this. The old lady says, "Children, how were you told how you got your swordsman ability?" They all say, Adrian says, "Well, my sister told me that our swordsman abilities come from our eye color." Akane says, "Yeah, my parents said that." And then everyone just says, like, their parents or siblings told them that. And she says, "Well, those were wrong. Your parents have lied to you their entire lives. They rely on actual blades. They buy blades that they forge from many journeys. Swords are actually unlocked with power. When you will have this secret thing." As she all gives them like this holographic menu thing that's just a little orb, and she says, "Press this, put pressure onto this orb, then you will scan yourself with the orb, and it will tell you how much power you need, and all of the swords you need. And then all the swords to become a master swordsman. No one in this entire world, except for old man Kadoku, was the only man to get the last blade ever. We don't know what that name of the blade is since it was never named." Sarah says, "Kadoku? But that's Adrian's last name." He says, "Wait, Adrian Kadoku? You're the grandson of that? You're the great-grandson of that man?" Adrian says, "I don't even know who my parents are. How the hell am I supposed to know who my grandparents are?" "And I already know that if I see my parents, I'm gonna hate them." He goes, "Well, good luck on your quest. Here are your orbs. You'll be able to create them with just the palm of your hand, and then they will appear and you will scan your level. The max amount of level that you can have of swordsmanship is about 100,000. You could get to 100 million, but the maximum is 1 billion. Once you get there, you're unstoppable, and there's no point in becoming a swordsman after that." He says, "So good luck on your quest, children." They say, "Thank you, miss," as they walk off. In the future, now they finally have a new goal. She says, "Oh yeah, and here's a map of all the swords," which they also got from her. They look at the map to find the first sword on their quest. And they split up in groups to find their own swords. Christian, Alex, and Sarah go on their adventure. Akane Akane, what's his name again? I forgot his name. Troy, and the barrier dude. Akane, Troy, and Remy are all going on their adventure to find their swords. Barrier dude. Actually, no, those are the only group. Barrier dude didn't want to come. It's just those 6. This is like Team Avatar with Troy being like the Zuko of the story and Adrian being like the Aang or the Katara. Ew, no, Katara's useless. Him being like the Aang of the story. Not gonna lie. He says, so then they split up in 3 groups, and they'll meet each other up once they find all the swords. They will have to fight for each swords. They look at their map, team thing, and then they find it. Then she says, then Akane runs over saying that she wants to be on their group because she does not want to be with Troy because she's not really a big fan of him. Troy says that he doesn't even want to do this. He just came along for no reason. So Troy just leaves, with Remy coming along with them, so now they just have their group of 5 looking for the swords. The first sword, they're heading, Adrian says, the first sword, the weakest out of the 5 elemental swords, and the elemental swords are the first quest. It is the leaf sword. The leaf sword is the weakest? And there's supposed to be some leaf monster at the top that the person who wants the sword has to fight? Then they count each other and they realize there's 5 of them, and there's 5 swords. So they're allowed to get them. Then Remy says, Adrian, don't you already have a fire sword? He goes, it's blue fire. You need the actual normal elements. He says, okay. Well, and then he says, and then Akane says, let's choose who gets the swords. We'll all embark on an adventure, and we'll all go get our own. Sarah says, well, Akane, you know we all have to work in teams, right? This is our quest. We have to do it together, not just us splitting up. Let's do this as a team. It might be much easier. He says, fine, but don't get in any of my way. They all just facepalm saying, idiot, we literally just said that we're all going to use teamwork. As they walk through mountains and mountains. They encounter many, many thugs who they all defeat easily, tying them up for rewards and money. As then, they're gathering money to finally buy the Skytrain. Because the Skytrain will take them straight to the leaf sword place. They finally beat up enough bandits and get their bounty on them to finally do it. They head to the Skytrain and they say, excuse me, sir, can we please have 5 tickets to the Skytrain to head straight up to Leaf Mountain? He goes, the trainer said, the train station guy says, are you sure you want to go to Leaf Mountain? There's a giant leaf monster. Adrian says, yes, sir, we want to go there because we're going to work together to finally get that leaf sword. He goes, alright guys, good. Go get him. They say, yeah, as they all head up, and they start riding the train. Then, when they get on the train, they see Troy on it. Adrian says, Troy, what the hell are you doing here? He goes, okay, look, I'm trolling you guys. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm bored. Christian just says, then just come with us. It could just be the 6 of us, and we can even out the gender difficulty. It could be 3 boys and 3 girls. That's all. He goes, fine, I'll do that. As he comes along, they ride up to the top. Then they start climbing up the leaf mountain with tons of razor-sharp leaves falling at them, and they always have to dodge out of the way. Till they finally reach the top, and they find the leaf sword. He says, who will get the leaf sword? Sarah says, I'll get the leaf sword. as she goes to touch it, but then something giant rises from the mountain. And then the mountain grows arms and legs, and then it forms into like a giant monster. If you know, Momoshiki's rock monster, it's basically that, but it's green and it has like leaves on it, and it's covered in leaves. He goes, "Rah!" Adrian, Troy backflip, all of them backflip, as Troy says, they were all, so all along the mountain was it? The entire time it was a mountain? We were riding on this monster this entire time? Alex says, just be quiet. We have to do this ourselves. As all of them do a signature formation. Akane jumps on top of it, going, night days, as it blasts his arm off, going, Arr! But then the arm just regenerates. Akane says, regeneration? As she pulls out her sword and cuts off its arm, but then it just regrows. Then she tries to cut it this time, but this time her sword cracks. She says, what the? Remy says, the thing probably has an extra boosting power. The more it regens, the stronger it's gonna be. So we just have to take it out as many times as possible till it's too hard. Adrian says, so we're gonna have to beat into it? As he activates fire in his he activates cremation style. Cremation style is basically the blue fire style. As he appears behind it, cutting off its right arm, because the left arm is the one that kept cutting off. He goes, as he tries to cut it, but his sword breaks in half. He says, damn it, can't do this. Troy says, catch, as he throws him a spare sword that he usually has. Adrian catches it and goes, thanks, as he cuts off its arm again. And he goes, but then it's just standing there, it's not really doing anything. It blows razor sharp leaves out of his mouth, going as they're all blasted back while getting cut up. Akane grabs Adrian and spins him around, going, ha! He goes, what the hell, Akane? I'm running into it. She says, just slice it in the heart. He goes, ah! As he does, he says, this thing doesn't have a heart, it's literally a mountain. As he tries to cut it up, as he's kicked back, Remy says, lightning slash! As she barrages around it, and then finally goes through it. It's cut into a million pieces, but then it regenerates. He says, wait a minute. Troy says, I have an idea. Alex, quickly, use the ball. He creates the orb in his hand and scans the entire thing to see how strong it is and see what they can do. Troy says, Alex, what? What is it? He says, its level is about 100,000. And then he says, as he reads his, he says, mine's is only 5,000. Adrian's is 20,000. Akane's is Akane's is about 5,000. Is about 7,000. Troy's is about 10,000. About 25,000 in his base form. Remy is about 9,000 because of her extra lightning speed, and that's basically all. We don't stand a chance against this thing. Even combined, we don't. Adrian looks at all of them with a maniacal look, going, so we might not be able to defeat him in our base forms, huh? Then all we hear is frickin' Ash Greninja music going, as the blue fire tornado swirls around him as he goes, then Adrian gets read by Alex and he says, it's about 50,000 now. Looks like that's, he says, it's a 2 times increase, isn't it? He says, his power is about 100, no, it's not even actually, it's only 70,000, we need more. Then he says, only 3 of us need to take it out. As Adrian jumps in and goes, ah! As he punches it, going, as he's barraging this thing. As the thing starts to talk, saying, such power! As he goes, Troy says, remember, Adrian, I can copy anything you do. I can mirror your ability. As he mirrors his ability and does the exact same thing, as they both barrage it, going, as Akane jumps, says, night days, as these two are barraging it, and the shockwave hits the monster as it goes, Then Remy jumps up and says, Alex, keep on cutting it with them. He goes, right. But then he grabs onto the arm instead and breaks it off, saying, Then Alex is punched back. It was like flinged off the arm. He looks at it going, huh? As his crystal ball comes out, and it says that there's a fruit inside that can give that boost, that is the real fruit that and they don't even know where the sword is, so they don't really know where it is. As he reads it, finding that it's in the core of the entire beast, where there's a fruit right next to it that you eat, and that's the only way you can wield it. As Remy is cutting its head a little bit, trying to punch its head, Alex aims a perfect strike and says, Adrian, Troy, move! They both move to the right and left as they both barrage it. He goes, Sun Steel Slash! As he appears right in front of it, saying, I learned this from Shima! As he stabs the giant thing with his ginormous blade, which cuts right through. As then he cuts square into it and says, guys, keep on get in there now! As Adrian and Troy jump in there, punching the walls back that are caving in, so then he regenerates. They go, as Alex goes in and grabs the fruit, going, as he's like, that's so sour and it doesn't taste so good. But then he says, I guess it's pretty good to try. As he fully consumes it, and then he goes, and punches it. Then he grabs the sword. Then, once he consumes the fruit, he says, guys! But then Adrian and Troy realize that the fruit was actually the regeneration power of it. As they go, as Alex grabs the sword, going, as the leaf sword cuts the entire thing in half, as they defeat it. As then they look on their thing, as they put a check mark going, then they all go, woohoo, we did it! And since if this was a real episode, this is how long it would actually be. So that's it for now.